back in Vegas getting ready for Canelo and Berlanga tomorrow night at the T-Mobile Arena on pay-per-view, on Prime Video. Order the fights. We've been talking about it nonstop for 2 days, but we had to take a break from all of that. And look who it is. The always classy Jimmy Lennon. Are you kidding me? Are we having a problem here? Like, I'm just saying, I got to just be honest about it. Like, I'm looking at the monitor, and they're showing me, and Jimmy just said to me while he sat down, you did say that I looked horrible today, eating cookies with cookie chocolate all over my face.
I feel for you. I feel for you tonight. That's why. But you're looking okay.
My man. All right, at least we got you on there now. So, thank God. Mafia, I'm just being honest. It's having some kind of a problem on the screen here, and it's driving me nuts. All right, so anyway, Jimmy, I want to talk to you about your brilliant career. First of all, you're obviously you followed in your father's footsteps. How great is it when you think back at what your dad did and what you've been doing now for almost 3 decades, calling fights and being in the ring and announcing all these great cards. I have seen you at fights now for 30 years. I've been coming for 35 years doing fights. I did it with HBO. I did it with Showtime. I did it with the BBC. I've done it with everything. And Bruce Binkow, you name it, it goes down the list. What is it like for you to follow in your dad's footsteps and still be doing this? It's got to be a kicker.
It sure is a kicker, and I know we have something in common with that you followed in your father's footsteps, and I did too. I never intended to. I went to college and studied psychology, intended another career direction, but I needed some money, and I think it was just a destiny, and I feel really grateful for it. I didn't plan it, but I'll take this opportunity, and I am forever grateful to be part of these great fights. It's actually now 4 decades. I've been announcing for over 40 years now, and to be in the front seat of some of these great fights, to get to know parts of history throughout the years, it's just been great. And so I love it. I don't have any intention of stopping. I love it, and I'll keep going as long as I do.
So of all the fights, you've worked with all these outfits, every one of them, like I have. But the fights that you've done, I was at a lot of them. I was looking at the list. The Tyson-Holyfield, obviously, no one will ever forget that. Winky and Felix Trinidad, Floyd and Manny. I mean, the list goes on and on. Are there some that are your favorites that stand out to you, or is it the same every time? You get excited no matter what the card is, what the event is, whether it's the T-Mobile or the Grand Garden Arena, or whether it's somewhere overseas, or whether it's in New York. Is it the same butterflies and fervor for doing it for every card, or is some that you remember from the past stood out more to you than, let's say, doing it tomorrow night?
Some stand out, for sure. And I'm going to say that I'm also a person that I believe that each fighter deserves, the best introduction as possible. But let's face it, some fights are bigger than others. Some are more important. Some fighters are more important. They deserve recognition and proper pronunciation of their name and all the details, but some I get up for because I'm a fight fan. I would say that, I did Tyson, Buster Douglas in Tokyo.
Right, that was incredible.
Incredible.
How could I ever forget that night?
Yeah, it was the first, mega fight that I did overseas in Japan. I was just fantastic. And then it turns out to be the biggest upset maybe in sports history. Yeah, and the quiet Tokyo arena when this amazing story was unfolding, and you could kind of hear a pin drop, except for Don King. You could hear his voice ring out throughout. Some of my favorite fighters, Chavez, Trinidad, throughout the years. Mayweather, Pacquiao. Gervonta Davis, just fantastic, and Tyson Fury is just a great show to see too.
I saw the trilogy. I saw all 3 of those fights.
Yeah, and in England, he draws quite a crowd. So I've been honored for all of that. But I would say the one that always stands out for me is Chavez versus Chavez-Haugen in Mexico City with 135,000 people there. Yeah,
that city's amazing,
unbelievable. And I remember rehearsing in the afternoon. They had me rehearse at that time, and about 15,000 people were there at rehearsals. And it was just
that's like how many people they had there today for the weigh-ins. That was at a rehearsal.
Yes, at a rehearsal, 12 in the afternoon. And when that place filled up, I tell the story that I was in the ring with Don King right before the main event fighters were coming out. They had a laser light show, and music was really beautiful. It was just really well done. And I could see kind of like little tears come out of his eyes, like he was moved by this. The guy that's been everywhere. Then later, I realized maybe he was counting the proceeds of the crowd and the amount of tickets he sold.
What is your opinion of Don? Because I worked for Don forever, and he's got quite the reputation. But I always loved Don. I had a great friendship with him and his PR guy that was with him his whole career. I like Don, and you worked for Don for a long time. What is your fondest memories of him? Or
no, I have very fond memories of him.
Relationship.
Absolutely,
I loved him. A lot of people hated him, and
we worked.
Boxers hated him, but he was, for me, he put on the biggest fights I ever saw in my life.
Yeah, he put on great fights for me and maybe for you. He was very loyal to me. He just used me and only me, and he fought for me to be on shows when we were in conjunction with Showtime and HBO. I never left a fight without the check in my back pocket, and he was just good to me. I didn't get that close to him. I didn't want to be a hanger-on because when fight nights came, that suddenly tons of people would come out of the woodwork and hang around Don King and be in the room.
Absolutely.
And I'd never wanted to be part of that. I was just working professionally for him, and he was very good. And he's maybe the smartest man I've ever met.
Yeah, I got to tell you, he was a character, and he did my show 5 million times. He did it in New York at my studio 5 million times whenever he showed up. It was quite a scene. I have to ask you, I really like Saul. And I think that he's a great kid and a great guy, and he's grown into a man, and he's got a big family. He's an incredible pound-for-pound king. I think Alvarez is unbelievable. I had him on the show yesterday. I've really enjoyed and been honored to watch his career and his fights. How do you compare him to Chavez when you're talking about Mexican titans?
Yeah, two great Mexican titans, and we can go back and mention others as well. I think time will tell. Chavez had over 100 fights. He fought a lot more frequently. I think he, maybe the level of competition for Chavez was a little greater, but that's no knock on Canelo. Canelo's a great fighter, and he's done everything he can do, needs to do to move up in weight. He's smart defensively, offensively. He's got everything, and he's got a good management team behind him, and he's making a lot more money than Chavez.
Yeah, I know he is.
But I tell you, he's a great fighter. I think time will tell. That we always have to look back and evaluate a fighter's career after we look at the whole span and the breadth of what they accomplished.
I think these, and respectfully, I got a minute. Those three fights, like the Lara fight with Danny Swift, Garcia, and the Caleb Plant-McCumbee fight, and the main event with Canelo and Berlanga, I think are really delicious. A lot of times I'll come to the fights and, maybe I just want to watch the last two fights that I'm really interested in. Some nights I watch all of them. I like those three fights tomorrow night. I'm excited about it. I have to tell you, Jimmy, I'm honored to have you on the show. I'm a big fan of your work. I think you're brilliant at what you do. You're so good at it. You're just flawless, and you've just been so much fun. Like when I'm there, I was with my son at a couple months ago. You're doing a fight, and I was there, and my son was there. It was the first time he'd gone as a 20-year-old, and he was there, and I said, "You got to watch this guy." And I got goosebumps seeing how excited he got when you announced the fight, and he loved it. He goes, "That guy's cool." Wow. And I said, "I'm going to get him on my show, and I'm going to send you the clip of it." Jimmy, always good to see you. The always classy Jimmy Lennon, ladies and gentlemen.